Recent developments in international trade policy have resulted in a new agreement between the United States and the European Union, signaling a potential adjustment in transatlantic economic relations. Trump reaches agreement with EU to lower tariffs to 15%. President Donald Trump announced a trade agreement on Sunday with the European Union that would lower tariffs to 15%, ending what had been months of uncertainty surrounding trade with the United States' largest trade partner. The tariff rate is a reduction from the 30% that Trump proposed on July 12, and the 20% he previously stated he would implement on April 2. Announcing the agreement, Trump said the EU will not impose a tariff on U.S. imports, and added this agreement was satisfactory to both sides. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Sunday alongside Trump that the pact will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. The agreement appears to closely mirror the trade agreement announced with Japan on Tuesday, under which Japanese imports will face a 15% import duty, which was also lower than earlier figures mentioned by Trump. But last year, the average U.S. tariff on imports from the European Union was just 1.2%, according to Capital Economics chief Europe economist. The European Union has been in active negotiations with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer for weeks, and had believed it was extremely close to a deal before Trump issued a message on Truth Social indicating plans to raise tariffs to 30%. The EU's top trade negotiator made multiple trips across the Atlantic to meet with his U.S. counterparts and was set to speak by phone with Lutnick again Wednesday. According to a spokesperson for the EU, imposing 30% tariffs on EU exports would disrupt essential transatlantic supply chains, to the detriment of businesses, consumers, and patients on both sides of the Atlantic, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said after Trump's July message. Immediately afterward, the EU stated it would continue working toward an agreement by the new deadline of August 1. At the same time, the bloc prepared a list of U.S. products that could face reciprocal tariffs if no deal was reached, due to concerns that discussions might conclude without resolution. Some of those products included Boeing aircraft, U.S. vehicles, and imports from politically notable states such as bourbon from Kentucky and soybeans from Louisiana. At the time of the announcement, the EU had approximately $100 billion in potential reciprocal tariffs under consideration. Agricultural and business organizations expressed concern that a 30% tariff on European Union goods could significantly affect the cost and supply of products like wine, cheese, and pasta, describing the policy as difficult to justify. Cars and other vehicles manufactured in the EU could still experience price increases. The costs for our companies have already reached the billions, and with each passing day, the total continues to grow. The German auto trade group VDA said in a statement to NBC News on July 14. The 27 countries of the European Union are the United States' largest trading partner. Its $605 billion worth of imports into the U.S. exceeds those from Mexico, Canada, and even China. The most valuable category of imports in 2024 was pharmaceuticals, primarily from Ireland, followed by automobiles, aircraft, and industrial equipment from countries such as France and Germany. Trump has also signaled the possibility of a 200% tariff on certain pharmaceutical imports into the U.S., although such a measure would not be implemented for at least 18 months. It remains uncertain whether the current agreement with the EU would impact that policy. This development takes place amid ongoing attention to U.S. trade negotiations and economic coordination with global partners. While the current arrangement reduces tariff levels from earlier proposals, economic analysts remain watchful for potential future adjustments, particularly in categories like imported medications. Within the broader conversation around international commerce, the U.S.-EU trade relationship remains central. This agreement contributes to ongoing debates surrounding supply chain resilience, trade fairness, and long-term economic planning. As sectors including agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and transportation continue to respond to policy updates, many observers are also monitoring developments involving U.S. political figure exit statement updates and global trade realignment efforts. Whether this new agreement brings long-term clarity or prompts further negotiation remains a key point of focus in the months ahead. In summary, the evolving U.S.-EU trade agreement highlights the complexity of global economic strategy and the importance of continued dialogue between key international partners. As updates unfold, staying informed will be essential for anyone tracking economic policy or political developments.